We live in a world of lies. Some people want to tell us that the Iranian regime is actually the victim. Well, Elica was on Piers Morgan. She's a young Iranian woman, and she made it clear Iran is the bad guy. They're out there destroying Syria. They're out there destroying Yemen. And those countries are there to destroy those leaders that are Iranian-inspired. They destroy their local populations. And so Elica is out there telling the truth. Here's a short video of her smashing her opponent on Piers Morgan and telling the world the truth. And of course explains why Israel has every right to fight against the Iranian regime. Let's check it out.
You are the only actual Iranian amongst us. You were born there. So what is your response to what you've heard so far?
Well, I'm really frustrated with the complete distortion of the narrative. Like you're talking about these strikes in Syria, first of all, not being on an Iranian embassy. So let's just get our facts straight. It was on a military base that was next to the embassy. Why is the military base there? Why is the Islamic Republic making Syria vulnerable to these attacks? You want to talk about bombs on Syria? Guess who's doing that? Guess who's doing that? It's the Islamic Republic by using other countries as a base, so it makes Syrian people vulnerable to that. So let's not just act like there's strikes on there for no reason. Second of all, you talk about civilians. People were actually killed in that strike, which targeted senior IRGC leaders who were meeting with Hezbollah. Meeting with Hezbollah to do what exactly? Because let's just talk about what's been happening for the past 6 months, much less the past 4 decades, which is that we have seen October 7th, okay, which was an act of war. Let's be clear. Let's dispel this narrative that there's no evidence that the Islamic Republic supported that. It's been reported over and again. It was reported in the Wall Street Journal.
It was asserted in the Wall Street Journal.
Republic, no, let me finish. I'm not done. What do you think that the Islamic Republic is training, sponsoring, funding its proxies for? What do you think they are funding its proxies for in Israel, in Gaza, in Yemen, in Lebanon, and all of that to strike Israel on October 7th, every single day since October 7th, firing rockets into Israel. And then when there is a strike on IRGC leaders planning a meeting with Hezbollah to further attack Israel, you want to turn around and say, oh, people were killed. Guess who was killed? The people that were killed are the people when the Islamic Republic struck Israeli embassies in different countries, actual civilians, okay? Not military senior personnel. And guess who else would have been killed if it wasn't for the Iron Dome? 300 rockets, you're talking about hundreds and thousands of deaths. So you're relying on the fact that there was an Iron Dome to protect the fact like, oh, well, nothing really happened. A lot happened, and a lot would have happened if Israel didn't have to invest so much into protecting its civilians. And you can't rely on that as a defense. And not only that, let's go back to talk about when you talk about that the strike on Soleimani and you say, oh, well, nothing really happened. They just did a small retaliatory whatever. That's not the case. They actually, let's talk about Flight 752, when they shot down a plane from Tehran going to Ukraine, killing many, many, many innocent people on that plane. Because you know what the Islamic Republic does? It takes it out on its own people. That's what they do, and that's what they're doing right now. They're cracking down on Iranian women in the streets to show that they're the big bad wolf, because they know that they don't want any smoke with Israel, but they want to remind you who they are. And guess who they're taking it out on the Iranian people. And this is where we draw the line. We draw the line at this vocal support for the Islamic Republic being framed as the victim in this story that they have been orchestrating for decades, orchestrating terrorism, regional stability for decades. You want to talk about the Houthis that are fighting for freedom? How dare you? How dare you not acknowledge what the Houthis are doing in Yemen? Do you listen to Yemenis and their voices and what they have to say? They are being terrorized. They are being starved. They are being killed. A young Arabic woman is on death row right now in Yemen for criticizing the Houthis. Are you speaking about their rights when you talk about Yemeni people fighting for freedom in the Red Sea? How are you going to call freedom takers freedom fighters?
Okay, well, that's a good... Oh, Elica, let me just jump in. I want to bring